Now that we're in the last half of August, most landowners have probably got their food plots planted. And if you have hunting property more than an hour away from home, you'll find yourself wondering if your food plots are actually getting rained on. I mean, even if the weatherman says that we have scattered showers or scattered thunderstorms, how do you know if one of them clouds is going to pass over your food plot? You know, it'd be really nice to know if your food plot got wet, because if it doesn't grow, you'll know if it's because you didn't get any rain, or if you had some soil issues where the pH might not have been right, or if the deer just flat out wiped it out. It'd be really nice to know if your food plot got rain and how much. So what I want to do in this video is show you a website that you can visit, and it'll let you know exactly how much rain your food plot got. So in the description below this video, there's a link that will take you to this site right here. This is the NOAA website. And when you get to this page, you actually have to click on the round icon. It won't work if you click on radar. So go ahead and click on the icon there, and it will load up the map. And what you'll see is the current radar across the whole United States. So the first thing I do when I get here is I get rid of this little box here, because I don't need to search for my location. I know exactly where I'm going to go. And then what I'll do is I'll just put the area that I want to focus on. I'll put that right about in the middle of the map, and I'll just drag the map over to where I want it. And it's going to be up here in northeastern Michigan. This is a property for a client where I planted about 6 acres of food plots last week. We did have rain in the forecast, and now the weatherman says that it doesn't look like too much rain coming, but there is a couple of chances. So over the course of this week and next week, I'm going to be going to this site here, and I'm going to be checking to see if these food plots actually got wet. So once I get the property pretty much in the center, then I'll come over here to the top right, and you can zoom in and fine tune as to where you want the center, the map. And I'm going to be about right there. The property's right in this vicinity right there. Now over here on the left side, we have a panel that shows the current date and time. So it's August 23, 2021, and it's the 19th hour at the moment. Now in this area right here, there just happens to not be any rain overhead. So what we're going to do, just for the sake of this video, I'm going to move to another spot where we actually do have some rain going on right now as I'm shooting this video, and that's over here in northern Illinois. So let's say, for instance, you had property that was over here near Macomb, Illinois, and you wanted to know if your food plots here got wet. So all you would need to do is just come over here to this -5 minute button and just keep clicking on it, and it'll back up the radar 5 minutes at a time, and you can see the rain clouds going in reverse. And you can click on it pretty fast, and it'll update. So as you can see, the radar is backing up, and it looks like the rain is going to be clipping Macomb, Illinois there. So, you know, this is a really cool way to find out, you know, if your food plot actually got wet. Just to really pinpoint where your food plot might be, you can come up here to the top right, just click on the plus sign again and zoom in some more. Then you can actually see right where your property is and pinpoint exactly how much rain your property got. So if I back it up some more, you can see where the heavier amounts of rain passed over. And so if we get it past that point, now I can advance it 5 minutes by hitting the +5 minute button. And now you can see the rain advance. And, you know, sometimes you'll find that you'll get the red areas that'll advance over your property, or, you know, you'll be in between the red areas and maybe you just get something like a light green up like in here. So, you know that that's not that much rain. It's probably just enough to get your car dirty, right? But if you get some of these red areas that run over your property, well, then you know you probably got a pretty good gully washer. And unfortunately, if you have just planted your food plot and it's on a hill and you went with conventional tillage, you know, you might have an erosion issue if you had a lot of red over top of your property, right? Because that's going to be a pretty heavy downpour. So in most cases, right after I plant food plots, I just as soon have just the green or the yellow go over top of the areas that I planted, just so that I know that the seed didn't move around and my seed is still getting packed into the ground pretty good. Now, another thing you can do is, if you don't want to go back 5 minutes at a time, let's say you wanted to go back, say, last week sometime. So then just come over here to the calendar, and you can choose whatever date you want. So let's say we go back to, say, the 16th of August, and we'll hit update map. There happens to not be any weather going across Illinois at that time, so if we pick a different date, just for illustration purposes, we're going to update the map. No rain then either. Let's go back a couple more days. Let's maybe go back to the 12th. We'll update the map. Here we got some rain. So, this is over 2 weeks ago. And you can see Macomb, Illinois, it was really getting hammered. There was some red. Now, do we know, are the clouds going from south to north, or are they going from east to west, right? Because that's going to determine how much more rain you got. If this system is going in a straight line from west to east, you're going to get a lot more rain, obviously. All we got to do is just come over here to the 5-minute button, and we're just going to advance it. And you can see that it's pretty much moving from west to east. Boy, if you've got, newly tilled plots that are on a hillside and you put seed on there, boy, if this red area is rolling over top of your food plots, a lot of your seed's probably going to end up in the next county, right? This is also going to help why your food plots are not growing. If you're up here in this area, just north of Burlington, you got a nice steady rain and just perfect for, helping your seed to germinate. So now the other thing I'll use on the time feature is if I don't want to go 5 minutes at a time, I can advance an hour at a time. And all you got to do there is just go to the hour button here and just hit the arrow up, and it's going to advance everything by an hour. So after you change the hour, don't come down here to set to current time, because that's going to set it to the present time that you're on the computer, right? What you want to do is whenever you change the date or the time, come down here and then update map, and that'll update it to whatever it says up here in these boxes. And you can see things change a lot more rapidly, and you can go through the whole course of a day much faster than by hitting just the 5 minutes at a time. Now, one of the reasons I really like this website and why it's really helpful is this past June, I planted these same food plots for this landowner, and we planted on May 15. We kept getting missed by rain. Even though there was rain in the forecast for that area, his particular property did not get rain. So I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So we had planted his food plots on May 15, and we hadn't had rain for at least 3 weeks. And then finally, we were supposed to get some rain on June 11. So now that I've changed the date here to June 11, let's see what happens on his property. So I'm going to update the map to that particular day. Now you can see we got some rain coming here from the north. Now I'm going to advance this an hour at a time just so that you can kind of see the rain coming. And the weatherman was right. We got rain coming into the area, and I was really encouraged, like, oh man, finally after 3 weeks, we're going to be getting some rain here on this food plot, because I was getting kind of worried that this food plot was not going to make it. So I'm watching the radar throughout the day, and it's getting closer and closer, and I'm thinking, oh, thank goodness. So we're going to keep advancing this here, and you can see that I'm advancing it by the hour. And now, mind you, his property is right about in this spot right there, right where my hand is. And let's keep advancing the radar here. And so you can see this little lake, and it's just to the west of that lake. And no rain yet. We're at the 8th hour of the day. We're going to just keep advancing here. And you can see all the rain just went off to the northeast of the property. Now, if we jump ahead to the 16th hour on June 11, you can see that almost all the rain has fizzled out, but watch what happens. So I'm going to advance it to the 17th hour, going to update the map, and all of a sudden this starts to build up some rain. We got some rain that's forming over here, and so now let's just go ahead 5 minutes at a time, and you'll see what happens. We've got this rain that's missing my client's property right down the center. My client's property is about right here, and this rain is heading down on both sides, to the northeast and to the southwest. Now, one thing some guys will do is they'll go to the Weather Underground site, and they will look at the historical radar. And one way you can do that is if you're on the Weather Underground, you get to the history tab right here, and it'll come up, say, with the nearest airport. You pick the month, and I just look at the monthly view. You hit the view button, and what it does, this was back in June, and this was on the 11th. And you can see here that they got over a tenth of an inch of rain, and actually it hadn't even gotten done raining yet. They actually got over a half an inch of rain on the 11th. But my client's property just to the east did not get a drop. So, even though you might think that, well, Alpena got a lot of rain, my property probably did as well. But you could see that the radar let you know that Alpena got dumped on and his property did not. Now, while the rain was bypassing his property on the east and west side, I just couldn't believe it. So what I did is I fired up a screen capture and actually filmed the video of the radar as it was going by in real time. And his property's right here at the red star, and you can see the channel where nobody got any rain inside the channel here. But yet Alpena, they got a lot of rain, and so did the Gaylord, Mount Pleasant, Houghton Lake area. Can kind of be misleading, if you go check the history tab on the Weather Underground, because it doesn't always really tell a real story. Now, since this property was up in the northeast portion of the lower peninsula of Michigan, I had the landowner go with John Comp's Soil Builder blend from Northwoods Whitetails. And that's got a lot of plants in there that's really going to help to add organic matter and really build up that soil. It's got oats and rye and buckwheat. It's got sorghum in there. It's got some peas. And I believe it's got a little bit of annual clover as well. So instead of having this disced or tilled, where we're going to take even more moisture out of the soil, I had the Soil Builder blend drilled into the ground just so that we wouldn't lose any more moisture. And then I showed up about a week later with the landowner to do some scouting for stand placements. And you could see there was just barely starting to get some germination because there was some moisture in the ground at the time that it was drilled. Drilling there really helped save the day. And then we didn't get rain for another at least a couple of weeks. And then by the time we came back and planted the fall food plots last week, boy, you could see that the sorghum was over my head. It was at least 6-7 feet tall. We also had some oats and buckwheat in there. Even though that wasn't very tall, the sorghum and that Soil Builder blend really saved the day. And you can see that in a lot of areas, even though the spacing was pretty thin in some areas, there was not a lot of weed competition. So even in a situation like this, for the fall planting that we did last week, we probably could have got away with just broadcasting and then rolling down over top of the seed. But, again, you don't know how much rain we're going to get. So I had a drill come in again. The tractor had a crimper on the front, and he had a Genesis 5 on the back. And we just went ahead and crimped and drilled that way. And so now if we don't get a lot of rain here in the next week or two, I think we're still going to be okay, and it should turn out really well. So if you found this to be helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you on the next video.